Peace and blessings, everybody, and happy Monday. Welcome back to a Mission Minded Monday here with me, your host, Asiya Nasir, founder of Utopian Enterprise Business Solutions, where I help you turn your vision into action one Monday at a time. So, this week is no different. We have a great topic to talk to aspiring nonprofit founders and existing nonprofit founders. Um, this week, I'm talking about a topic that is very, very important to the sustainability of your organization. I mean, if you're not taking your mission, which is the whole purpose in you starting your nonprofit organization and turning that into how you strategize on how to raise money, write grants, uh, create campaigns, and things like that, if your mission is not directly connected to your strategy into keeping your organization sustainable, it is going to have a problem being able to have the longevity that you're looking to have with it. So this Monday is no different, where I share uh, typically anywhere between 3 to 5 strategies to help you to be able to do just that. Because these strategies are going to help you, and some of you, it's a game changer to helping you be able to keep your organization going, to have the impact that you want to have. Sometimes just tweaking and adjusting a couple of things to help turn things around. So without further ado, let's just get right into the topic today, which is money matters, building budgets that fund impact. And we know this is so important. Money does matter to nonprofit organizations, despite of what people may think. While we do charitable work, we are not a charity case, right? We're not. We are the conduit to help communities that are really struggling in one area or another. So money does matter. So I'm going to share 5 strategies to help you build your budget that's going to fund the impact that you want to make in the communities that you're looking to serve. So the first thing, as I mentioned before, the first strategy is you have to build your budget around your mission. You have to build your budget around your mission. A lot of times what we do is we create a budget and then try to funnel the mission after it. We can't do that. You have to start with your program goals. So if you have your mission in mind, what is the mission of our organization? Who are we trying to help? What is the what is the thing that is hurting this particular community or this particular group of individuals? What is the issue, right? So start with your program goals. Start with your program goals. If you had the budget, what would your goal be? What would the impact that you would want to make? And what does that look like? Right? So build your mission, build your budget around that mission. So a lot of times we as I mentioned before, it's all numbers. We create numbers, but we don't think about the mission and the outcome that you want to achieve. That's why even nonprofit organizations should have a vision statement. So you have a mission, right? This is what we want to achieve. This is what we want to eradicate. This is what we want to decrease. But you also should have a vision that this is what the ultimate goal would look like. So that way the impact is very clear to you, and then you base your budget around that, just not operational and administrative costs, but what is it going to cost you for that ultimate goal? What would that look like? What would that cost you? So now you're looking outside of just, administrative costs and supplies and things like that. You're looking at a bigger picture. So now your goals are going to be connected to your budget. What is the ultimate vision that you have for this program, connecting it to the community? How is that? What budget would you need to have that ultimate goal that you're looking to achieve with that particular program? Right? So that's one way to do that. And it's something that has to be in the forefront of your mind. It has to be in the forefront of your board of directors. It has to be in the forefront of everyone who is connected to your organization, so they understand that when you are doing fundraising, when you're doing a campaign, when you're writing a grant, even your grant writer should know what is your ultimate mission and vision for your nonprofit organization. So when you're asking for certain money, you can articulate why you need said money, right? not just administrative costs and operational costs. So that's strategy number one. Strategy number two is each year you should be creating a budget. I'm a grant writer myself. I'm a certified grant writer, and I've worked with multiple organizations, and they tend to send me the budget for last year. Here's last year's budget, which is great because some grant funders want to see what your budget was the year before, and they want to see what your current budget is now. So, yes, I do need that. However, I'm often asked to just use the same numbers. As we just mentioned in strategy number one, it should be very intentional when you are creating your budget. Your budget should not just be a graph or an Excel spreadsheet of operational expenses, supplies, and administrative costs. Like, it should be more than that. Each year, you should be creating a new budget, and there's several reasons for that. Um, Rather than just copy and paste. Last year's numbers, base base your numbers on the current year's goals. Each program, if you are having an annual strategic meeting, you should be reviewing what went wrong, what went well with your programs, seeing what can be tweaked, what needs to be enhanced, what needs to be, looking at all of these things and being very intentional and purposeful with each of your programs. We also know that each year, especially now with the economic climate that we're in, cost is changing. Cost is changing every month, much less every year, right? So if you are creating a budget, it should be with the current cost of things, and it also should be with the adjustments and the intentional and purposeful view of what your program needs. Again, also with the ultimate goal in mind of what your vision, what is the ultimate impact that you want to make with this particular program or with your organization. So what this does, it forces you, and it forces you when you're writing your grant to have real clear, be very clear and giving clarity to the grant funder or the committee that's going to be reading your grant application. Or if you're doing a fundraiser or a campaign, you're very clear about what your goals are today and how you're looking to achieve it, and using current cost climate to be able to create a budget that is not just a copy and paste, but very real and very, like I mentioned before, very clear on what it is that your goals are that you're looking to do currently. So again, if you should be having an annual strategic meeting where you're tweaking, adjusting, reviewing, analyzing, evaluating your programs, how it went the previous year, and what you can do to make it better or grow, enhance, and so forth. So that's going to change the budget for your current one. So don't just use copy and paste. That's not going to help you to be able to be intentional and actually show the growth of your organization and now why your budget needs are different. Okay, so that's strategy number two. Strategy number three is I like to categorize budget in three tiers. And it's really important because, again, it gives clarity to the organization and it gives purpose and intention with everything that you're doing, including creating a budget. So the first tier in your budget is your core, your core necessities. We do know in every budget you have to have administrative costs, you have to have operational expenses like staff. If you have a brick and mortar, or even if you're renting, a space somewhere to be able to facilitate your programs and your services, you may have to pay for that, insurance, all of those things. So we know that's a core part of your budget. You have to include that. So that's the first thing. You want to, make sure that you have your foundation set up. The second thing that you should be including in your budget is growth. Like I was just explaining before, not just a copy and paste, but growth. Has your marketing strategy changed? Have you saw a need that you need to change your marketing strategy? And so you may need to, purchase additional software that you didn't have before, a CRM program, maybe a software that allows you to be able to market differently on these social media platforms, or automation, different things like that, where you're in connection with your donors, that has a cost. Everything has a cost involved, right? A lot of nonprofits are even using AI, so that has a cost. Subscription every month. So if you have particular subscriptions, your growth in evaluating where you were and where you are, that has to also. So any type of growth, anything that you're doing, technical items, IT things that you're going to be needing, all that is growth. So now you're not only using your core, things that you have to have, but now you're looking at growth, how to grow your visibility, your awareness, your connection to your donors. That has a growth budget that you should be using. So include that on top of your core. And then last, again, if you could obtain your ultimate funding, what impact could you make? What impact could you make? So only you as a nonprofit organization, knowing what your mission is, knows that vision. What would that actually look like? What would that program actually look like if you got the funding and could make the impact that you want to make, or you have a service that you're looking to provide? If you had ultimate funding, what impact would that make? How much money would that be? That's how you need to be able to, put it in tiers. So that way you have an ultimate budget that meets every category with intention. So that way, if you got that grant, now you're fulfilling not only your mission, but the vision, the ultimate vision that you have for your nonprofit organization. So again, in anything big, you have to break it down into smaller tiers in order to be able to achieve that. Because sometimes when you're trying to share with your board of directors, or if you're trying to share with your volunteers, or those that are, your fundraising committee, sometimes seeing the big picture may be too big for them to be able to envision. However, if you break it down into these tiers, they can actually see, okay, this is the need for core. This is the funding that we need for growth. And this is the ultimate funding for the vision, that big number that you're talking about. So now they're able to break it down in their mind in order to be able to accomplish the necessary things that they need to do on a daily, weekly, monthly basis in order to achieve that as an organization, not just the founder, not just the executive director looking to achieve this. So we're at strategy number 3. If you're finding this really, beneficial, give me an emoji, give me a comment in here just to say you're following, or if you have any questions, that would be great for you to, chime in. I want this to be an engaging conversation. Like I said, this is Mission Minded Mondays. It's a great way to start your week into, keeping your mission in mind and how you can do that differently and more strategically. So speaking of strategic, when you break this down in 3, this also shows the grant funder that you're being very strategic in your way in how you're moving as a nonprofit organization, but that you're also a visionary. Every business owner or every entrepreneur, you have a vision. And your nonprofit is no different, because your nonprofit is a business and you should be looking at it as such. So when you do it this way, you can articulate that, and any corporate sponsor or individual donor, they can see that you're being very strategic with the funding within your organization, but you also have a vision for the community in which you're looking to serve. And that is why you're asking for the specific dollar amount that you're asking for. So that's strategy number 3. Strategy number 4, and this one is my favorite. This one is my ultimate favorite. And this is where you tie your budget to a storytelling moment. You tie your budget to a storytelling moment. So let me make that clear to you. When I say tie your budget to a storytelling moment, tie each major expense to a measurable impact. So what does that look like? Because you're probably still going, what the heck is Asiya talking about? Well, for example, I run a nonprofit organization that works with teen girls, right? Now we have an annual empowerment retreat. Sometimes we have traveling. Well, we've traveled to Saudi Arabia before. Sometimes we have an author's masterclass where we had 10 girls literally self-publish a book. So there's an expense to that. There's a specific number to attach to that. So when you tie each major expense, tie that to a measurable impact, which means we need to raise $3,000. $3,000 is going to help 20 girls complete the empowerment series, the entrepreneurial series. And this is what the series includes. This is where 10 girls, or this is where 20 girls can participate in this, and this takes care of that. So when we took our girls to Saudi Arabia, we had a budget. We had a budget for their travel expenses. We had a budget for their eating expenses. This is what's going to cover eating for one week. This is going to cover breakfast. This is going to cover travel, to get to and from the airport, for each girl. So when a donor, or when an individual, like an individual donor or a corporate sponsor, can actually attach or connect their donation to an outcome, that makes a big difference. So while you've created this budget, connect it to something. This is going to help. So if you have food insecurity, $5,000 is going to feed 25 families for an entire month. Now they know that when I sponsor, said amount of money, this is going to, for one family, this is going to, we need 500, or we need $1,000 to feed a family for an entire month. Now they know, if I make this donation of $1,000, there is a tangible outcome to that donation. That is, when you have that big budget, make sure you're connecting that big budget when you're doing the breakdown of your core, your growth, your ultimate. You're breaking also it down to measurable impact. So I don't know if anyone remembers, and they still do it now. When I was growing up, they used to, put on TV the poor children that was, starving in Ethiopia. And, they used to ask for literally pennies, to be able to help the starving children. And I think people were, I know people were wondering, well, when I'm donating, who is this helping? How do I know this money is going to someone? And they listen. They listen to that. So those same organizations, they changed their strategy for that same budget that they were asking for. This only costs 39 cents a day. This only costs whatever the amount is a day. Now they attached it to that particular donor, is now connecting their donation that they send, that 39 cents a day that they're sending. Now it's attached to a family. Now it's attached to an individual, where now they're getting a picture of that student. They're getting updated reports about how that family's doing. Has that child now attended school? Because your donation now is allowing that child to be able to go to school. It's funding their uniform. It's funding them to be able to get books. It's funding their family to be able to feed their family. Now that donor can tie their donation to a measurable impact. So think about that when you're creating your budget. Does it have a story that you can tell, that you can attach that budget to it to have a measurable impact? So when that donor is giving, they know that it's going towards this, and it has an impact on someone, a group, a family, whatever it is. Make sure that you include that. That's my actual favorite, because donors like to know that their money is going towards someone and that it's actually making an impact, whether it's a grant funder, corporate sponsor, or an individual donor. So keep that in mind. And last but not least, review your budget. Your budget should not just be something that you do annually and then it just collects dust. Your budget should be a living document throughout the year. Throughout the year. So what I mean by that, where I say review your budget monthly. Are you on target? Are you using less? Are you using more? Like, what's happening, right? Making sure that the money is going towards where we said it was going to go. Those core things, the growth, spending exactly what we said we were going to spend. Adjust quarterly. If some things need to be adjusted, you should be adjusting on a quarterly basis, meeting with your team, your board of directors, reviewing, each meeting, you should be reviewing your financials, which means you should be pulling out that budget. So on a quarterly basis, if adjustments need to be made, look, this IT thing or this growth or it is not yielding the results that we were thinking that it was going to have. We were promised that this was going to increase a number of supporters or donors or followers, and you know what? It's 3 months in and it hasn't increased at all. Maybe that's not the software that you should be using, or that shouldn't be the resource. That you should be using. So again, reviewing that is going to be really important. And then plan annually. Again, reviewing, having your annual strategic meeting with your budget at your meeting, saying what went great, what programs did well, where adjustments can be. So it is a living document. And not only is this well because you're aware of where the money's going within your organization. This keeps your organization credible. This keeps you if you were financially audited, you're on point. But what it does is it breeds fiscal discipline. You're not going over budget. You're not spending money and not really paying attention to where you are, where you're spending, how you need to spend it. These are all important things when you are trying to build a budget that's going to have impact with your funding, and you're looking for sustainability. So this is what I want you to take away from this Mission Monday is your budget isn't just a spreadsheet. That's not what your budget is for. Your budget is not just here to be a spreadsheet. It is part of your strategy, and it is a huge part of your strategy. So if you look at it that way, that is what's going to help you. So if this video gave you clarity, it gave you some direction, or even a aha moment, something that you've been doing that you're just like, wow, that's a game changer for me. I only ask of two things. Literally, I only ask of two things. Please like this video and share it with a nonprofit founder that is struggling financially, or they're wondering where the sustainability, if they're going to be able to sustain their organization, or even share it with someone on your team, so that way you could be all on the same page. So that aha moment, that moment of clarity. Now, if you get your whole team to be able to feel that way, that would be great. And sharing is caring. So just two things: like this video and make sure that you share it with someone who could truly benefit from it. So that is what I wanted to share with you today as for our Mission Minded Monday, which is Money Matters, building budgets that fund impact. So speaking of impact, we have an event. Utopian Enterprise Business Solutions has an event coming up a little over 30 days from now. On August 16th, we are hosting a virtual symposium, nonprofit symposium, that's going to have guest speakers talking about grant writing, talk about marketing strategy, leadership, everything that you can think of to be able to help your organization to be able to run it in a way that is going to attract donors, supporters, and the like. So I am including the link here, which is right on Eventbrite. It is only $47 to be able to attend, and you can join in, tune in the comfort of your home or your office, where you can take notes, relax, and just be able to enjoy the information that you're getting and building some strategy around your nonprofit organization. So again, if you found this beneficial, please like this video and please share. And if you have content that we have not discussed, please make sure that you share it with me. Send me, and I'm going to put my email here. So I'm putting my email here. So if you have a suggestion on a topic that you would like for us to include on our Mission Minded Mondays, I would love to hear it, love to discuss it, and help you grow as a nonprofit organization, because that is what my mantra is to help you fulfill your missions in real time. So until the next Mission Minded Monday, implement these strategies, think about it, even take one if you can, and start implementing it to help grow and sustain your nonprofit. See you soon.